The two elderly, Ine Saitou and Shouzou Saitou, were picking some fruits while chatting about the past. The grandfather lamented not being able to provide a honeymoon for his partner when they were younger, something that bothered him a lot, although she assured him everything was fine. As they walked to an old apple tree they had planted to celebrate their wedding, they noticed that, although quite deteriorated by time and a typhoon that had hit the region some time ago, the tree was still standing and had produced a fruit, a golden apple.
The last bite, a sacred moment. Some say one of the most important moments in a man's life, when he finishes the last bite of the golden apple. Oh, wow.
Upon arriving home, the grandfather still lamented feeling inadequate for his partner, due to the poverty and busy times they had faced together. A tear rolled down his cheek, and as he looked into the mirror, he realized he had rejuvenated. He quickly ran to tell his grandmother what had happened, and was surprised to find out that she had also become young again. Seeing his beautiful wife young again was enough to decide that the honeymoon should start at that exact moment. Sometime later, their granddaughter Mino arrived looking for her grandparent. In addition to the great surprise of seeing them young again, her eyes were amazed by the beauty of her grandfather, who seemed like a male idol. She even had the audacity to ask if she could stay with him. The two won the hearts of their elderly friends, from little old ladies to little old men. The scene shifts to a memory in which one of the sons asked his father to leave the house and move in with him, worried about the physical limit of his parents' sake. However, the father refused the proposal. That land had belonged to their ancestors for hundreds of years, and so he would not abandon it. Unlike the mother, who would accept anything as long as she was with her husband. The next day, the daughter-in-law Kaede brought some ingredients that the mother-in-law had requested, but only the grandfather was home. He said that the grandmother had gone to the community center. Kaede still didn't know that they had rejuvenated, and, of course, just like her daughter, she was enchanted by the grandfather. The two liked male idols. The couple's son, upon learning of the situation, was quite bothered, especially by the fact that his daughter made jokes saying that the grandfather was her boyfriend. Mino, grandpa and granddaughter are not allowed even in fiction, Kaede told her daughter. I've never seen anything like it. The sports games of the year were about to begin, and some elderly people were afraid of losing to the rival team that always won every year. As everyone's physical integrity was impaired, only their youngest and oldest friend Shouzou remained to save them. The grandchildren of the other team were also participating, and on the other side were the grandfather and grandmother, who ended up humiliating the other team by winning all the tests. A week later, Haisuke from the rival team sent his youngest grandson to bring some things to the Satis as a way of repaying the kindness of the grandmother on the day of the competition. When he arrived there, he found Mino, his classmate, unaware that she was the granddaughter of the couple who had won. She invited him in and explained that she was alone because her grandparents had gone out shopping. The two stayed in the living room talking, although the boy seemed very nervous next to Mino, the most popular girl in the class. Both his grandparents and his mother watched them for a long time, thinking that maybe they had some kind of relationship, even considering the possibility of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. After an interview, since the grandmother and mother were evaluating the young man all the time, he left. Upon arriving at his grandfather's house, he asked him to send another message for him. The grandfather told his granddaughter how he had asked his grandmother out and how difficult it had been. His father didn't want them to be together, as in his time marriages were still arranged. He had to physically fight his own father, but in the end, everything worked out. He proudly mentioned what his wife had said to the woman his father was trying to marry him off to. We are shown an old memory when the couple was still old, and the grandmother was about to throw away a pamphlet when she fixed her gaze for a long time on a garment advertised in it. The grandfather just watched, but when they rejuvenated, he ended up giving her that outfit she had seen some time ago, which made her very happy. After a silent dinner, they watched TV and saw a couple kissing. The grandfather commented that he started watching it because of what Mino had said. He teased the scene, finding it totally silly, unlike his wife, who seemed very amazed, even asking him to do the same as what she had seen on TV. Even so, the grandfather continued not to find it so cool, but the grandmother, I think she liked. They went for a checkup at the hospital where their second son was the doctor. He, as a doctor, could hardly believe their story. After finishing some exams, they left. Takahiro remembered the day he found out his mother had liver cancer, and one of the reasons he became a doctor was to take care of his parents' side. The only thing he could do was administer the medication and introduce her to a good doctor. Nothing more than that. He was really happy they turned out that way. The scene changes to the day they fixed the apple tree knocked down by the typhoon, and sometime later, when they ate the golden apple. The apple tree thanked them before disappearing. The grandmother had a nightmare with a giant hourglass floating, and in the dream, it crushed her. After telling the grandfather about it, he also said he had the same dream. Grandpa had his dream with the giant clock, where he ended up leaning against it and spinning, making him fall. When he woke up, he realized he was old again and worried if Grandma still wanted him around now that he had returned to what he was before. However, she reassured him, saying she still loved him just the way he was. The couple had planned a trip to celebrate their honeymoon, and Grandpa said that regardless of whether his body returned to normal or not, he would still go. They went to see their doctor's son again to check on how Dad was now that he had aged again. The son reassured them, saying the test showed that Dad was still healthy inside, much younger than someone his age. The only concern was Mom's situation, who was now back to being 20 years old. If nothing happened, she would live for much longer. Grandma was extremely worried about her lifetime, especially now that Grandpa had aged again and would probably be the first to leave her. On a shopping trip, Grandpa was bothered by people staring at them. For some reason, he didn't want to be seen with Grandma in that state. When a store attendant asked if he needed help choosing a gift for his granddaughter, Grandma quickly corrected him, saying she was his wife and didn't care what others thought. Grandpa had another dream with the clock. He hadn't seen it in days. Now that it had finally appeared, he couldn't miss the chance to try what he was thinking. He imagined that the possible reason he had aged again was because of that clock, and that if he tried to turn it again, maybe he would become young again. Before doing what he was thinking, he realized that sand was coming out of the clock, sand that would make the clock stop. This probably had to do with his lifetime. After turning the clock upside down, he became young again and told Grandma what he had discovered, correcting her by saying that they probably wouldn't live forever. As soon as all the sand ran out, his lifetime would end, which certainly wouldn't take many years. Then guys, that was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. This anime was really creative. I remember reading some pages of the manga a while back, and it was great to see it turned into an anime. Since there are several mini-stories, I tried to focus only on the main one. If you liked it, we can definitely have a part 2. Just let me know in the comments. I'll read them all. Don't forget to rate the video and hit the like button to support. Remember, if you enjoy the content on the channel, you can also make a donation, and I'll make a promoted video about the anime you choose. The link is in the description. Thanks for your support.